A few years ago, I was going through a very difficult time in my life. I lost two of my family members, very close family members. My marriage was in trouble. We were going through some hardship, and I was so grateful after all of that and doing all of that grief and moments of suffering that I had a mentor that was walking with me on that journey and through that journey. And what I discovered is that I was suffering and I was desperate for God. And I really, even though I was still saved and still loving the Lord, I lost trust in Him. And so I was not a joyful person. And when I had this mentor come alongside me, I discovered again the joy of my salvation. And that's an encouragement I want to share with you today, that when you mentor, you are committing to mentor for joy. Because sometimes things are just hard. Life gets difficult. The world can rage around people. There's suffering and loss and death, and people sometimes don't know how to manage. But when they are following Jesus, and when they are doing that in a community of safe people who love them well, they can remember that they can have joy in their suffering, and they can also have joy in their salvation. Psalm 16:11 reads, "You have made known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand." And the truth is, there's joy in the presence of the Lord. And we know that because God is love. And none of us wants anything more than to be known and loved by Him and by others. And so I just encourage you that when you mentor, that you keep joy at the forefront of your mind and your heart. Because apart from pursuing Christ, our natural inclination is to drift, to go from a narrow path of walking to a wayward path of wandering. And so I encourage you as a mentor to encourage people to be faithful on their spiritual journey, to pursue the Lord with passion and with joy. When things are easy and comfortable, we're also prone to wander, to forget about God, to forget about His presence. But this Psalms tells us that the presence of the Lord is where we find our true joy. And that is the source of our strength indeed. So I encourage you that when things are difficult, when you're in a valley, when things are great and you're on a mountaintop, and when such is the case in the reality of life for your mentees, that you are constantly putting the Lord in their view before them, that you're reminding them of the importance of being present with the Lord, and that in the presence of the Lord there is fullness of joy. You may ask, how is it that I can mentor for joy? And I think there's two things that we can focus on and remember: that nothing in our life happens by accident, that God knows the very path of our life, and He has a purpose for everything that He ordains or allows to happen in our life. And there's some comfort in that, I do believe. And so one, I say it's important that as we mentor for joy, that we remember to seek the Lord. That whether we are in a good place or a not so good place, we can ask the Lord, what is it that you're trying to teach me? What is it that you want me to learn even in this? That is a question for our own spiritual formation and our spiritual journey, and it's one that we can always challenge our mentees with. The second one is discipline. One of the things that we learn as we study and we grow in our spiritual life is to learn ourselves well, learn ourselves better. What are some of the destructive habits in our life? What are our sin patterns when things become too easy or too difficult? And we can ask the people on your leadership team, you can ask, but also the people in your mentoring group, how to help you, how they can best help you and serve you in those challenging and difficult places. The second point is spiritual disciplines. we discipline ourselves to be faithful on our faith journey and walk, whether we are in a good place and things are going well or whether life is just difficult. And the spiritual disciplines can help us with that. So when we say we are mentoring for joy, we're pursuing joy, we're committing to keeping the Lord in our view and disciplining ourselves to follow Him no matter our life circumstances or condition. So I am equipping you today to lead on purpose, to mentor for joy, to mentor for life.